This is Akhtar Mohammad, a refugee from Afghanistan. He lost both of his legs in a landmine explosion 3 years ago. Once he was able to travel, Akhtar, together with his family, left their home in Jalalabad, a major city in central Afghanistan. They travelled east across the border into Pakistan's northwest frontier province. They have joined the more than 5 million refugees who have fled to Iran and Pakistan, escaping a conflict which has raged since 1979. Once Akhtar arrived, he had difficulty finding work he was capable of doing.
Before I became handicapped, I was able to do any kind of work. I could go to school and earn money for my family. But after I became disabled, I felt hopeless. What will happen to my family and me? How can I earn a living?
Eventually, Akhtar found an answer. He heard of a program that trains disabled people in new skills that could then be used to support their families. Best of all, he could receive the training in his own camp. This training program is sponsored jointly by the Norwegian Refugee Council and Norwegian Church Aid. When a representative from the Norwegian Project Office came to his refugee camp, Akhtar asked for an interview. A few weeks later, Akhtar was accepted into the program and began his training in a useful new skill, leatherworking. The training begins by teaching students how to prepare leather. Next, they master the skills of sewing and design. The teacher, Ghulam Ali, is a skilled craftsman from the same camp. During the 4-month training, he spends his mornings with the students and looks after his own business in the afternoons. In return, he gets some tools or a small fee from the Norwegian Project Office. Akhtar eventually graduated successfully from the course. He was given a set of tools for leatherworking and was on his way. Soon, he was able to rent his own shop in the bazaar and set up a business.
The program has affected my life a lot. Before I was feeling very hopeless and sad, but now I am very happy that I have learned a skill. I can now provide more for my family and life is getting better.
The Norwegian Refugee Council and Norwegian Church Aid have been assisting Afghan refugee craftsmen in establishing their own small businesses since 1984. The basic philosophy of the program assumes that craftsmen could use their own expertise for self-employment, but as refugees, they are too poor to buy the tools they need to start a business. Norwegian Project Office teams visit refugee camps throughout the northwest frontier province, looking at small business possibilities in different crafts, such as watch and bicycle repair, carpentry, or carpet weaving. After interviewing unemployed craftsmen, the teams come back later to distribute tools to selected applicants. Afterwards, 2 further visits are made to monitor individual progress and the success of the project as a whole. In 1990, for example, a team went to Shindand, a large refugee camp for new arrivals fleeing increased fighting in their homeland. They had been settled near a well-established older camp in an isolated location. Skilled refugee craftsmen were identified. Eventually they were given small business assistance to become carpenters, shoe repairers, barbers, or blacksmiths. Recently, the program has redirected its priorities. Dwindling budgets and the anticipated repatriation of refugees has shifted the focus of most programs aimed at income generation. The mandate of these programs is now to reach the most vulnerable persons in the community. These are people least capable of surviving economically as refugees. Now, when new craftsmen are identified and selected, they are given toolkits only if they take on apprentices from needy households in the refugee community. The growth in skills of the new apprentices is then monitored. Once the trainees are successful in acquiring a new skill, they receive a toolkit as well and can then start their own business. To improve the identification of these vulnerable groups, a new approach was taken in 1990. A Department of Social Workers was developed as part of the Pakistan government's Commissionerate for Afghan Refugees. Whenever possible, these social workers operate jointly with the Norwegian Project Office field staff to identify refugee families living in the most extreme poverty. Usually, the most common reason for severe poverty is the lack of an able-bodied man capable of working outside the camp. The program gives special attention to disabled men and widows with young children living in difficult circumstances. Programs for needy Afghan women allow for the cultural tradition of purdah, the separation of women from the public world. Skilled women have received tools, equipment and materials to do carpet weaving, tailoring and other handicrafts inside their homes. Needy women with little knowledge of tailoring have self-help training classes in a nearby home. When a vulnerable refugee is identified and accepted into the program, they often lack a marketable skill. Apprenticeship training schemes and training centre programs, such as Akhtar's, were developed specifically to assist these people. However, for a severely disabled or elderly man without a marketable skill, this may be an impossibility. In these cases, recipients are assisted in alternative ways, such as the setting up of a retail shop. Up to mid-1991, the Norwegian Project Office has provided toolkits to about 12,000 recipients. These included already skilled refugees and those who have recently received training. About 30% of the beneficiaries are women. The number of refugees given assistance under the Disabled Programme, introduced in 1989, has reached close to 1,100 people. A special programme for widows is helping to lessen the damage to the environment caused by the huge influx of refugees into Pakistan. Widows are given materials, seeds and technical advice in growing tree nurseries inside their home compounds. As many as 2,000 seedlings can be grown in a compound. The young trees are then purchased by the Norwegian Project Office and used for a reforestation programme funded by the World Bank. Loans have not featured strongly in the programmes of the Norwegian Project Office. This is partly due to the difficulty of collecting repayments over a wide geographic area. However, a hire purchase scheme was introduced in 1987 to provide loans to businesses needing large capital investment to begin operation. This tanning factory employs 10 people, but would have been difficult to establish without the right amount of financial assistance. Since 1987, loans totaling $100,000 have been given to 160 skilled refugees. Credit is now given only to participants willing to take on disabled or otherwise very needy trainees or assistants. Hopes for repatriation in the near future has lessened the support for large loans, repayable over a long period. The Norwegian Refugee Council and Norwegian Church Aid also sponsor a permanent vocational training centre for refugee men in the Pakistan city of Peshawar. Once these men have learned and practiced their new skill, they'll be prepared for the eventual task of rebuilding their country. Students taking this metalwork course learn various types of techniques and skills. After graduation, they are qualified to become tinsmiths, blacksmiths or welders. Some disabled men in the program learn how to construct the parts for artificial limbs. These prostheses will be used to aid the many victims of landmines in Afghanistan. The disabled also learn the art of tailoring in a workshop setting. Participants are taught how to measure and cut clothes and how to use a sewing machine. This skill has proven to be an important component of the Norwegian Project Office's assistance to this vulnerable population. For disabled refugees who can read and write in Persian, a Persian typing course is offered. Trainees are first taught how to use a typewriter. Later, they learn the correct procedure for formatting personal and business letters. Automobile repair will be a much sought-after skill when Afghans return to their homeland. The training centre teaches students the mending and reconditioning of vehicle parts. The students learn how to repair engines and provide service maintenance for all types of vehicle. The vast majority of educated and professional Afghan refugees live in the cities of Pakistan, mostly in Peshawar. Many of them are not receiving any form of assistance, and the problem of unemployment is increasing. A program called the Employment Exchange Department finds suitable jobs for these educated Afghans. Several times a week, group meetings are held with new applicants to discuss the job search program. Each person is interviewed by a staff member. Details are provided about their educational background, language knowledge, and working experience. This information is then filed, and regular contact is made with employers about these candidates. This program is tackling a very difficult problem. It can point with pride to the many individuals it has successfully helped to find work over the past few years. The Norwegian Project Office is also working inside Afghanistan. In selected provinces, needy, skilled people are identified, tested, and given basic tools and assistance to begin their own businesses. Training centres teach skills in construction and agriculture. Concrete elements are produced for reconstruction of houses, and poultry production farms are helping to increase agricultural commodities. Providing this assistance is not an easy matter. The country is still at war, roads and other communication systems are destroyed, and the security situation is not stable. On the other hand, there is still a lot of work to be done for the people living in Afghanistan, and for the refugees hoping to return to their homeland. Programs such as those of the Norwegian Refugee Council and Norwegian Church Aid are now targeting the most vulnerable groups in the refugee community. They are assisting Afghans to rebuild their shattered lives. Locating and then helping these people achieve their aspirations is difficult, but ultimately very rewarding. These programs give seekers of refuge a chance to escape the legacy of their past and to begin to enjoy a better future.